there is a different charm of making your hands dirty and fiddling with metal, wood. It has a different feeling. People dump like anything now. There's hardly, I remember when we used to be kids in school and all, we used to repair things. Now, what you can do in your laptop, you can do it on your phone. It's a tricky device to keep you busy for no reason throughout the day, and you just want a charger, and the end of the day, you are just seeking a charger so that you can still spend more time with that.
And watching, you're tuning into the Let's Walk podcast. I'm your host Atar Rahman, and today I'm joined by Dhiraj. He's the founder of Eight Mangoes. So, Dhiraj, thank you for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
So, Dhiraj, why don't you solve the Pehli first? Like eight mangoes. Everybody, the moment they come across eight mangoes, they're like, did you eat eight mangoes or like what? Like, why eight mangoes? Why not 10 mangoes? Why not one mango?
Okay, so eight mango. There is an interesting story behind this. So in like one summer vacation, that is like post my 12th, I was having mango. So my mom pointed out that this seed looks more like a face of some old person. So it took time for me to realize and visualize, but I I sculptured a face of renowned scientist Albert Einstein, and since then I created eight such characters, and I preserved it. I still have it in Pune, and that's how I triggered. I mean, it got triggered with this name, Eight Mango. I ate mango, and at the same time, there were eight characters which I had created, and that stayed with me, and that stays with people, those who are aware of what I do. So it just happened.
Yeah. So how do you preserve it right now? As in, like, do you put glycerin or something so that it stays the way it is?
So I have covered it in a glass case, and it's also protected like using your material that you use to preserve paintings and all. So using those things, I have preserved it. It's more than I think 15 years, and it's still intact.
So, when it comes to Desi families, and I usually joke about this, is that you can only become four things in a Desi family. That's doctor, engineer, lawyer, or a failure. So, uh, were you the kind of person who was like, me, I want to become like an artist. I want to become Leonardo da Vinci or something, or was it something it slowly came into you, like something like a hobby?
It wouldn't be very easy for me to articulate it. It's been like a cumulative process of spoiling myself in a way. But I don't know. I mean, I remember since my school days, I used to collect stuff without any intention. Like I just used to preserve it. Not sure what I'll do, but eventually when I started doing something, then I thought like, why not do it for all the stuff that I've saved? It could be like magnets, it could be motherboards, it could be broken radios, whatever. I mean, it's the pieces, the dismantled pieces itself look very beautiful. I mean, I still have a different perspective when I see motherboard, when I see different things. So, and one interesting boost is when I was fiddling with this kind of waste and devices, I accidentally landed up with a book which had this making of sci-fi films in 80s, and they what technique they were using. So basically, they were using miniatures, and very less scope of CG at that time. They used to create physical sets, but in a very small scale. That fascinated me big time because seeing coin-size spaceship, seeing different city made out of motherboard, like a aerial view, which now it's so convenient to capture using a drone. But imagine going back some 30, 40 years back and how they could visualize. I got carried away. I mean, I thought I'll do something with this. Eventually, figured out, and I'm still doing many things with that.
So did you ever think of, let me pursue a degree in arts or something like that? Or was it more like, let's keep it like a hobby?
It was too late for me to think as pursuing a degree in art. The reason is with very less scope of information at that time. In fact, I was very curious to get into animation. I did some small course and I worked on feature films and series and all. But even in that phase, I was dedicating my time to create artifacts, which arise me like in a situation like though I'm seeing art, I'm playing with pixel in 3D mode, but somehow there is a different charm of making your hands dirty and fiddling with metal, wood. It has a different feeling. So though I was a texturing artist, I was creating surfaces in a virtual world, but I enjoy creating surfaces in real world more than that. So that is how the transition happened, and yeah, it's going on now. I'm translating my real characters, the scale models using junk, and I'm translating into 3D and creating a short film also. So in a way, it's a full circle.
It is, it is. So I'm just curious about one thing and a lot more things, but one thing which comes to my mind is, do you get the picture of the character first and then you come up with the material, or do you come up with the material and then you come up with the picture of the character? Let's say if it's a bullet, like I saw your calendar and you made a Royal Enfield, right? So did you come up like, I want to make a Royal Enfield, and then you got, the cap and like, इसका pedal यहाँ पर रहेगा, brake यहाँ पर रहेगा, or were you like, I have these things, I want to make a Royal Enfield?
Good question, and it's both the ways actually. Sometimes I see, I find something, I keep it with my in my place, and uh, as I keep collecting, there is a puzzle which starts evolving. So earlier I may think something else with some materials, but as I keep building this pile, this gives me a different picture. Okay, I initially thought of creating say bike, but after a certain time I'm curious what else can be done, how it can be made in a. I mean, what else would shape up with this? So that is how it goes, and there is no such plan as such. But see, half of the journey it's collecting, and then 50% is figuring out what can be done. And to be honest, rather, I now do it in layers. I collect stuff to create something. The leftover, I'll make something out of it. So it happens in layers also now. So one example is recently I got some commission work that was a portrait which I wanted to create, and with the leftover of it, I created two other junk art, which was not planned at all. But that is how I try to keep myself busy.
Yeah. So, did you ever think that, like maybe this art can take you different places? And off record, we had a chat while yourself coming to Hyderabad that, you worked with Sony. And I remember that, while we were kids, we used to see different programs on Pogo. So, there used to be, Hole in the Wall, there used to be Art Attack. And you said,
Correct.
you did a similar thing with Sony. So, how did that come about? And uh, tell us a little bit about that story as well.
So at that time, when so it's like I'll just keep it very brief. I bought my first digital camera to record stuff, to create, to take pictures what I'm creating, and that time it was super expensive and luxurious accessories. I would say not as handy or not as uh, populated now you see. So that time I had bought this Kodak camera, and I mean, it was purely to capture my work, because taking the work to studio, they'll shoot in their light, and they'll use flash and all. They'll spoil the whole artwork. And I'm a big fan of shadows, lights. Being a CG artist, I'm particular about these things. So I thought of creating a small studio in my place using junk, all discarded white material as a backdrop, and I started shooting. And one fine day, I simply wrote them, and at that time, you would see their email address and postal address after the show. So I saw the show, and I simply randomly, I mean, without any intention, I just told them I do so and so work. This is my website, and what are the odds? They reverted, and they told like we'll like to work with you. And with that, I completed, I think, 80 plus episodes, and most of the episodes, say 70 plus episodes, have this art segment purely dedicated for this junk art from trash. And yeah, that's though I'm not in front of camera, which is a tricky spot. So I enjoy doing artwork in silos and presenting it later then. So that is how it was, and it was fun. So this is back in 2008, 8 to 10. Yeah, that was the time, and I had very interesting episodes when I was carrying my junk art via plane. Used to be lot of inquiries like who travels with these kind of stuff, especially when you're flying. And what could I like? How would I tell them like I am a junk artist? I make things out of this. There were broken bulbs, there were broken nails. What all you won't even like to keep it in your house, but I was traveling in air with all this stuff. So yeah, that was one incident that happened. And interestingly, after that, I think 80 plus episode is quite a number, and that time also uh, I may have used some at least 10 kgs of waste in that span to make art.
So, oh, like, did they ever stop you at the airport and probably take your art
Definitely,
and
yes.
and saying, no, this
They
is
they they
again.
saw my art. They saw my art,
Oh,
and then I was also carrying the letter from the studio that so and so person is creating art out of waste for our program, so please allow him. So they scanned it multiple times, but they finally allowed. But the problem was they, I mean, quite obviously they couldn't allow me to take this as a handbag, so I had to submit it. But once I reached Hyderabad, when I opened when I visited the studio, when I opened it, most of the artwork was broken. And that time, I think that was a very crucial time for me to realize that what I'm doing is not very easy. It wasn't easy for me to fix it the way it was. That is how I see that point was something as a indicator that I am doing something which is not as feasible for me to replicate again. Because at that time I couldn't promptly take photos, capture photos for all the artifacts without any clue that someday, if in case it gets broken, how do I approach? But that's how I learned.
so what if like one of the artifacts get broken? Like, did you have to like like figure out where are the broken bulbs in Hyderabad and then fix it up?
I collected it, couriered it, and I fixed it back in Pune. But I still have those. Those things I usually carry for presentation workshops and all, small artifacts. Now I have learned the way it can be moved also, good enough packing to make it strong. So earlier it was I was simply dumping in some bag and carrying it the way we carry some normal stuff. But now it's been like now it's preserved in a better way.
So are people like interested in having more workshops, or like we have dedicated classes for art, right? And I remember in school there used to be a person every like couple of months they used to come, they used to show like different color papers, do this, you get some rainbow out of it, and we used to buy those things and try to do with normal paper and this and that. There used to be dedicated art classes during summer, or like having these kinds of things. So are there people who are interested in junk art specifically, and are they seeking these like workshops or something? Because I'm not sure if there is a like a proper like a course or something like that where people can teach. Because you yourself said like I keep collecting, and it's really ambiguous. Like there isn't a proper structure
Yes.
as to how people should approach to it.
true. And so I came the other way. I'm a self-taught artist. I learned the hard way, or I eventually ended up creating. That's how I learned. But now, with people being very vocal about sustainability, recycling, and all, the chances of getting to see such work on the internet is very high, and that's how I get leads, and that's how I get connected with also with certain organizations or corporates. But earlier it wasn't that easy because uh, somehow I feel spreading the word is important, because not many people are aware of 8 Mango, but now they are through the articles, through internet, through social media, and it's getting some momentum. At least in last couple of years post pandemic. I mean, it was pandemic where I was able to create lot many artwork using this junk, because uh, that would that was the best time I could dedicate with no option of getting out. So I utilized it in that way. But people are aware and they are reaching out, and I'm trying to spread the words. At least one person in one community or one person from one corporate office, if he catches up doing something similar, then I think we are almost doubling the amount of ways that we can use to make art.
Do you think like junk art can be taught to people?
It can be, and it's like it's just any other art, or it's just any other art form that you want to teach. Say it could be music, you teach it to a certain level. Even if it is painting or sketching, you teach it to a certain point. Then it's up to the person to take it forward as per its I mean own intentions and inspirations. It's same. It's just the medium is different, but it's for me it's as similar as painting or creating sculptures using clay. So I see it in that way.
Yeah, so it can very well be taught, and like you said, it's the end of the
Definitely,
day, it's like up to the person as to where how they can probably get their own creative side and take it into a different form, or probably take it into the same journey wherever they are comfortable with.
exactly. So my appetite is e-waste. I fiddle a lot with e-waste, and now with everything getting related to your devices, hardwares, and all. So the scope of getting e-waste is pretty easy. People dump like anything now. There's hardly, I mean, I remember when we used to be kids in school and all, we used to repair things. We used to repair mixi grinding and your television, even the landline phone used to be fixed by people deployed for that. Now it's more of a one-time use kind of thing that we have developed in our head, that use and throw kind of. But I still prefer modifying it or repairing it so that the life of that particular device is leveraged.
And it's really funny to see, like how the lifespan of things has kind of decreases when it comes to like electronic devices. Let's say before, and like Nokia 10 is this, it still works today, right? Like you can just beat a person and he'll become paralyzed with that. It's like that strong.
Yes,
So, but when it comes to like other electronic devices, like it is kind of understood कि है ना 2 साल से बढ़ के नहीं चलने वाला, so you better get a new one, don't even try repairing it. That kind of mentality has been there. Even like if you take it to the mobile shop, he's like, bhai naya le lo. Like the amount of money you're
yeah,
going to put for repair. And I think somehow it's like both ways, like the mentality of people as well, and more from the company side of things, where they want more people to buy from them again and again, so they kind
the
of
latest model.
latest model, or probably make it so that the lifespan is 2.5 years, and then you have to get a new mobile anyways.
Yeah, when it comes to mobile, the usage is also pretty high.
Yeah, that
You may not be using Nokia that much at that time.
thing.
It used to be only for SMS and calling or playing snakes in that. That's all. Now what you can do in your laptop, you can do it on your phone. You can. It's a tricky device to keep you busy for no reason throughout the day, and you just want a charger. And the end of the day, you are just seeking a charger so that you can still spend more time with that. So yeah, it's that way.
Do you ever find yourself, like occupied for, instead of like spending time on art, you are just occupied seeing other people's art, or like just like
I do see art, but not much. But I do see. I get inspiration from different people across world. Not just artists. I could see some making of film, say some making or behind the scene of film, and I pretty much love seeing it, and I try to induce in my own way, in my own art. Now, uh, for example, what I'm creating the artifact is pretty much vintage. So this has come after seeing some series, some movies, some books, all those things. So I'm trying to translate what I have seen in a way that is totally unmatchable, like doing something with waste, but having some essence of your vintage era and all. One reason is I got some landline phone receiver, so that is compelling me to go back and visualize things in that way. So that is how I get inspired. So I don't see much, but spend more. I want to spend more time in creating art, and I try to do that.
uh, when it comes to art in India, it's kind of seen as a hobby. Do you ever think like, like artists can take it like, as a full-time thing?
Now yes, but again, it's not going to be like you decide that you want to be an artist and you start achieving what you want, but it takes time. But it also depends on your dedication. It takes time. It takes time. I mean, no matter what kind of art it is, but it definitely takes time. For me, it's been like 15 plus years, and it took time for me to create the categories of artifacts, the range of artifacts, spreading out the word, reaching out to people, letting them know that what I am doing, keeping my work in their premises, and that's how it built for me. Say, I'm part of TEDx Hyderabad also. So through Sony people, I got to TEDx. From TEDx, I have got to different places. And from IIT Bombay, I got into Sony. Like my first exhibition or workshop was back in 2008 with a tech fest at IIT Bombay. So when I was, that is again a very interesting incident. It was, I think, December. So they have this Mood Indigo as their annual event, and again I was carrying in my carton, TV carton, my artwork and all, and most of them were slightly damaged when I reached Bombay from Pune. And while keeping stuff, when I was placing on the table where people can see and interact with me, they saw that I'm trying to fix it in front of them. So they thought it's a workshop which is going on, but that was not the case. I was simply fixing things, and that is how they started. I mean, observing that what I'm doing, and that was my very first exhibition. And since then, I have been very fortunate, and also I intend to scale up as a number of artwork, and variety or the range of artwork also is getting diverse.
Do you think, there's a creative limit to as to, how many ideas you can produce, or do you ever go into like some sort of solitude place where, you're like, I need some space to think, and then you come up with ideas? Like, how does your thinking process? Like you said, you watch web series and everything, but at some point, there must be a saturation, right? As to
It is.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's a very sweet spot that I'm into right now. So it gets saturated more often because I'm doing it full time nowadays. So being occupied with art is one thing, and executing thing on a bigger scale is also a challenge. So I, when I'm executing, then it's a smooth ride because everything has been thought of, material is in place, the mock-ups are already provided to the client. They know how it's going to shape out. So most of the things are sorted. But what keeps me busy is like most of the time the scaling up or creating in volume is a challenge. So to solve that, I include people, those who are something similar. Like I'm not a, I mean, I haven't done any professional learning as such for art and all. So I find similar people, those who are good in art, but without any artistic background. They are like, say, for example, in my neighborhood, I catch up with people who, those who have something to show. As in, one of my neighbor is a painter, so I involve him in doing something which I want to scale up in terms of numbers and all. So they contribute their bit, and that is how I engage them for a bigger project. But the idea is to keep them busy for long so that they are in touch with what they want to do, and at the same time I'm using similar set of people, like the way I approach for art and crash.
What do you think about AI, like with Lensa and everything? Everybody is trying to, like there's also this thing somebody told me there was an art made by AI and that got the first prize, and there was a lot of hype about that, uh, as to like now artists can be like made replaceable, and then AI can just fix up everything. So, or should artists be like adapting to things instead of just sticking to the traditional, uh, like I wouldn't say traditional, but like sticking to doing things with the hand, and maybe like let's say we are doing sketching, and then we came on we do sketching on like iPads, and I don't know what you call it. It's like digital art, right? And then, but somewhere I also feel like some things which you do with the hand, it's going to stay the same. Like it's going to be there for a long time. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
So I think it's just I mean, people use the term AI. You don't know, I mean, how many times you'll hear AI throughout your day, how many times you'll read about this on the net and everywhere. But I feel the time, the day it comes when AI is able to create art out of junk, I don't see that happening anytime soon, so I'm safe. And when it comes to design and all, yeah, and pretty much these things were there already. Like you had filters, you had certain filters where you click a shot and it can be converted into your comic look or a vintage feel. Those things were there. Now I think that has advanced where you can click your photo, you want to replace your face with somebody else. It's done pretty much easily. But the time since when I've been using Photoshop, these were these were possible. But only thing is you had to do it. You had to paint it. You have to transform it. You have to play it in layers and all. These things are now automated. But you have to either you have to accept what it is being provided by AI or what the tool is, or if you want to enhance something which is like semi prepared by AI and you want to touch it. Now I think many things are happening, but truly speaking, junk art being I mean, I don't know, because it takes lot of efforts to think how a can clip or how a broken lock can be converted into art. But not sure how AI would compute and how AI would revert your junk with art. That's still a challenge.
Yeah, like I was arguing this thing, or should I say, debating this thing with my brother, that like creativity is something not which AI can replicate. Like designing, like when it has certain like a cookie cutter kind of thing, it can just use that as a base, and then probably try to maybe modify some things, and take in inputs and then build upon that. But when it does not have the base, like you say, when it comes to junk art, how is it going to make anything out of it, right? And
You give me sorry, I'm interrupting you. You
no,
give me broken keyboards. I'll make sure I give you some art out of it. You give broken keyboards to AI. What can AI do?
go to the
So
mechanic.
so that's I don't think AI interfering with junk art, at least not for near or far future.
And I asked my brother that, like just like how creative do you think AI can be? So he just gave an input like, I want an elephant, like I want a crocodile with a dog's mouth or something like that, and then AI came up with that, and then that is not creativity, right? It's just, I wouldn't say like, it's just like, cutting out my face, putting out someone else's face, and I think there's only a certain limit where AI can go in terms of creativity, uh, and I think it's the same with artists, like music artists as well. Like people, there's some AI coming out with like we can use a singer's voice and we can write our own lyrics and have him sing, like have the voice, have them sing our lyrics, and then that's a new song. Have you heard
Correct.
about that?
Yes.
So
It's a
this is
tricky thing, but what I feel is like it's not a pure art. It's manipulation. It's manipulation of your sound waves, mixing and remixing and giving you something. At the same time, it's manipulation of your digital images. It could be like photorealistic, it could be surreal, it could be anything. But end of the day, fine, you're giving some commands and you're getting some output out of it through AI. But what I enjoy most is the process, the journey of making art. That is something that stays with the artist. So how can that experience be replaced? It, I mean, it's a personal opinion, but very difficult to replace your experience. Forget art. Art is the final thing, but journey is something that one enjoys. Say coming up with some lyrics and making a song out of it. It is the whole process that you want to enjoy. But when you want to use AI to create lyrics, there is an AI to create song. It's more like a information exchange, I would say.
yeah, it becomes very dry, like there's no
Correct.
like A, B, C and final output aa gaya, and now what do you do with it? You listen to it like,
Yes.
and there's one more question that you I remember you said your friend asked you, okay, na, like do you put the glue on the paper before or do you? So just tell us, like what's the actual thing, like what's the right way to do?
So this, I mean, um, during the time of shoot when I was doing for this art and craft show, um, there was a glitch as in like uh, when the show was running, uh, we had to pause because there was some craft which was being presented, and it was something related to continuity. Like scene one cut, scene two begins. But in the meantime, there was a question to me like, okay, this is the artwork that you have made. This is the deconstruction. Where do you want to fill in? Like, what should I do? Like, should I use this paper and stick it on this cardboard, or should I use glue on the cardboard and then stick the paper on it? I was clueless. Uh, being being doing this since years, but I was clueless because when I do this art, when now we are circling back to that AI question, when I am doing art, it's a flow that I get into, that any artist gets into, and most of the things happen subconsciously. Like trust me, I just recently read that most of our decisions that we make, very prompt decision, it could be going somewhere, buying something, those are made subconsciously. You just act in a way, but most of the decisions that we do, it is in our subconscious mind. So is art. So I couldn't figure out like how do I tell that no, it should be done on cardboard and then you do it. I said just look at me when I'm doing. You do the same thing because I never. realize what the process is. I simply do. So that's the reason I'm not in front of camera also in that show, because if at all I'm in front of camera, I'll be so conscious I won't be able to do anything. So I told him, like, just look at what I'm doing. You'll able to mimic it, and that's how we conducted the shoot.
So the flow you're talking about, and that's where you probably don't know, like you probably don't realize, if you are putting the glue on the cardboard or you're putting it first on the paper, right?
Yes, and there is no hard and fast rule. Once you're immersed in it, you'll figure out anyways. It's something you're stuck with situation. There is no rule that step one, step two, step three. You just do it. That's where I think AI cannot get into that sequence.
So what do you think, like a life of an artist should be like, or what should uh, someone do to become a better artist, like?
Better artist, it's very subjective. Uh, but I think spending enough time realizing, indulging, and you figure out eventually. Uh, in some time, I took I think I took a longer time. I was doing this parallelly with my job. I was doing many things apart from my job, but I realized, like, maybe it could be designing product, maybe designing 3D characters in virtual world. But it's I don't see any difference with what I'm doing with junk art. So it's the same thing, and possibly I would have been just doing my work, my CG stuff and all. I wouldn't have done this at all. But if you take away this stuff, junk art, from my 15 years of time, I don't have much to speak about anything then. So this has been a very prominent part of my life, and I think it stays with you, and it's up to, it's not very easy at the same time to carry things which you intend to parallelly when you have to do many things along. So yeah, I mean, being an artist has its own baggage, novelties, many such things. It's a mixed bag.
So I wonder, do you name your characters, like, this Chintu, this is Lambu, as
I do, and I do it. That is where I keep thinking a lot, because somehow when things are taking shape in the form of character, in the form of any artifact, I like to name them, and that name comes. It's not just the face value that I keep the name, but it has a theme. It has a reason. Say, for example, you're able to see one artwork which is behind this. So this I have named as Pixie. During 90s, so this can itself has that mentioned as 90s retro theme can, and this I picked up from a movie theater, and it attracts so much with that color theme, and also Pixie is a name because at that time pixel art was taking up big time in 90s. You had that pixelated style of designs everywhere you see. So there is a history of it. So I keep the naming also very. I choose that naming also very wisely, and it has lot many layers in that.
Nice. So as you're kind of approaching time, I have few questions. They are called the perspective questions, just to bring a lot more perspective into our lives. So the first question is, if you were to have dinner with three people, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
One um, one would be Scorsese, Martin Scorsese. He's still alive. I am a huge fan of him. Uh, the second would be Einstein. Not I'm not a very science puke or geek, but I am very much fascinated with his non-scientific theories or quotes or whatever I have read. He might be very interesting to be. And third would be Christopher Nolan. I don't see him as a regular head. He's a different beast, I would say. So his way of thinking, his way of executing. So these would be, and I think two are film directors and one is scientist. So yeah, these would be my uh, companions.
Nice. So, if you were to go 10 years back in time, what would you tell to the younger Dheeraj?
Circulate your work much more. Yeah, because I promptly didn't have any scope or channels to circulate. But eventually now the mediums are available. Internet is there, and at that time when I was getting into animation, it was hard time for even to search where the animation studios are in India. There were hardly few, and most of the things like there were one or two websites which would provide this information. So information was such a crux at the time that now information is in abundance. You just have to figure out which is right and take steps accordingly. So circulating work and being more loud what I'm doing and spreading out the word. That is something which I just started recently practicing. So that is my advice.
So, just out of curiosity, do you take any apprentice, for your work, or is that something you ever thought of, like I should have few prodigies or something like that?
So I mean, depends on the work. Say last visit was to IILM Noida, Greater Noida. That's in February. So people were interested in what I'm doing, and they were also seeing what I'm doing for the bigger scale, as in it was some 6 feet by 6 feet artifact. And I was accompanied with set of people, students, those who are having that knack for art. So they see my works on social media and they keep asking also like which is the better way to do this, which is the better way to create something out of these materials and all. I try my best to guide them, and they are doing they are picking up. So not many as such, but handful, but still they are sincerely following in this way.
So when can we expect to see some of your probably short films, or maybe if they can translate into like webtoons or like comics or something, your characters?
So plans are there, and when it comes to CG, it's a very tedious process. It's a very lengthy process. It involves a lot of time, a lot of resources in terms of machine as well as artists. So what I have created is a very short film of say 40-50 seconds, but that itself took around 2 to 3 months to get it right and do the final rendering and post production. It's a very short film. I'll just share the link across. But the real character made out of waste was converted into CG 3D with my colleagues' help. I did this, and with set of like-minded people, we executed a very short film, and that was one of the milestone or one of the list in my what you call bucket list. That was one. So eventually, I want to make a series out of it, but again, it takes time to create a storyboard. The primary thing is ideas. So working on it, and there's lot that is not there on the website and the social media, which I need to put because my room is like completely packed up. I need to shoot, I need to make things ready. So I'm actually planning to collaborate with photographers, other artists, because for me to take it single-handedly, it's time consuming. So I'm focusing on many other things, and at the same time, I'll have people who can help me out with this.
So where is the best place people can, come across your work and, stay in touch, keep on, keep updated about your work?
So there is a small studio that I have set up in Pune. So it's still in the making, but most of my artwork, which I have been doing since when I started, like back in, say, during my college days, post 2001 or something, those work is still set of miniatures, set of other artifacts are still there, and I'll be shipping some from Bangalore to Pune. But again, I have some workshops, so that's how, I mean, I'm getting more visibility in terms of workshops and all. So that's where things are stuck. So I'm prioritizing to attend or conduct workshops rather than sending my work back to Pune, because once it's there in Pune, then it becomes very stationary. So until it becomes like a full-fledged art gallery or something, uh, till then I'm just carrying my work here and there.
Yep. So, for people listening and watching, this kind of brings us to the end of the interview. And I hope you learned something out of it. If you did, let us know down in the comment section. I'll put all the links to 8 Mangoes so that you can probably check them out and see what they're up to and their latest activity and whatnot. Until then, you guys know what to do. Stay blessed, keep taking action. We'll catch you in the next one. Thank you so much.
Thank you.